It seems anymore that everyone's just looking for the answers. We're looking everywhere, trying to figure it all out. As we struggle, some of us in pain, some of us lost, some of us simply challenged with the obstacles that lay ahead and the ones that confront us now. We keep searching, we keep looking, we keep wondering, because we know that the world that we once knew, it doesn't exist anymore. And we realize that there's something else going on, something more, so much more, and it needs an explanation. We deserve an explanation. I've searched the world over, trying to find the meaning of it all, trying to figure out why there's so much that they hid from us, so much more that they didn't tell us, and what it's all about. And the one thing that I know that I've found, it all leads back to one thing, one huge, significant thing, and that's God. And what I've found is that it's all been written. It's all been written in vibrations, acoustical sound, frequencies, in love and feeling and emotions, in words that we use, that we convey to another. It's all been written, and what we put out into the world comes back at us 10 times fold. And I think lately there's been so much negativity that's went out into the world, into dimensions unknown. Vibrational frequencies and negativity comes back to us even more. It's drowning out the light. It's taking it away. And if we're not careful, we're going to find ourselves all surrounded by darkness soon. By darkness filled with things and entities that shouldn't be here, that weren't welcome here, and were never supposed to be here, if we're not careful. Because we invited them in. And no other way could they have gotten here. When you thrive and live in a world filled with sin, heartache, and pain, I mean, really, what more could we ever have expected? If we're not dispersing the sunshine, how could we receive the sunshine? This I ask to all of you. How could it ever be if we're not giving what we're wanting? If we're not making an action to receive the reaction, and more likely, a positive way, versus this negativity that we've seen among us all lately, as it has been written in words, down in black and white, written for all of us to see, for all of us to read, and for all of us to live by. What more could we ever have expected? We all have a tendency to get angry when we don't get things that we want or see the change that we want to see. But what we all are forgetting is that we're never going to see that change, because unless you're going to be the change, it's true, you won't see it. You won't. Our lives consist of fragments of millions and billions of tiny little memories made like reflections upon the waters. And when we look into those waters, we can see the things that we have done, the things that we have given of ourselves, and also all the things that we're lacking in. I don't know about you all, but I'm tired of lacking. I'm tired of lacking in anything. I want to give the very best of myself. I want to make a difference. I want to leave an imprint. I want to make the noise that needs to be heard, the noise that deserves to be heard. Because without that noise, we're just trapped. We're trapped like a wild, caged animal, and we're never getting out. It seems so many these days have the mentality of saying, well, I'm just one person. I'm just one single person. What could I possibly do to make a change or to make a difference? And I don't want to hear that anymore. It's unnecessary to say. In fact, it's childish and adolescent, and I'm sorry, but it's true. Because the change starts with you. It starts with you. And every voice that speaks up, that speaks out, multiplies and multiplies and multiplies some more. Don't you see? So the change does indeed start with you. One thing I notice, even within my own self, is that I get so angry for people not understanding or not seeing what's happening. But the other thing I know about myself is that I spend so much time feeding the energy by looking for it, by wondering about it, by searching for the answers, by giving it just a glimpse of my time with my eyesight or my mind, my spiritual self involved. And I think, and this is just me thinking out loud, but I think what I'm starting to see is that we feed that negative energy when we give it our time and our efforts, when we give it our emotions, when we give it our physicalness, our minds that convey this to others and more upon that. And I'm starting to believe and see that it really isn't going to matter, because we can't make the world to see what we're seeing, but we can, in fact, love the world with all of our being. We don't have to make them see these things, I'm starting to understand. But what we can do is live a life with love and goodness and wholesome values, live it and portray it to others and show them that there is happiness to be made through good measure. There is. And I know, you know, we know, Satan's here. He's dark, but he's real and he's here and he's hurting us. But what are we doing when we give him our efforts of looking or glancing his way? What are we really doing? And I ask this of each of you. I could be wrong. There were times I believed that I had to give that effort and look and see and video and photograph everything that was happening. And as you can see, I've done so millions of times. But now I'm starting to wonder, am I hurting those around me by doing so? Am I bringing them down? Am I pulling them into the depths and the pits of somewhere that they really don't need to go, nor do they need to see? Am I doing so? I'm not gonna lie. I believe so many need a hard wake-up call, and that would probably be the best way to go about it. But I also feel like maybe I'm playing God by doing so. And maybe that's God's position. Maybe that's God's timing. And maybe I'm impatient, and so impatient that I haven't waited long enough for his good timing. I don't have the answers. I've said this a million times, and I'll say it again. I'm not trying to be a know-it-all. I certainly am not educated in this, and we all know this didn't come with a handbook. But what we do know is that there is goodness and light and love that still lives within the world. Why can't we be the head of the helm when it comes to that light? Why can't we shine it and lead the way without having to show the darkness that follows behind? And even if that darkness is catching up, and soon it will be all the way caught up to where it is indeed blinding out the light. But even if so, who are we if we do not shine the light in positive ways, in spiritual ways, a godly light, a loving light, in his way, in his own image? Who are we if we do not do that? And we give more grace and conscious choices and decisions to Satan. Who are we? I think I know who we are. We're lost. We're lost if we do this. We have a choice after all. We need to learn to make the right ones. And I myself have said it a million times. Sometimes we need just be still. Be still and listen and wait for his direction. And take comfort in his love and his shelter. And even though that darkness consumes us, because it does, so many of us, it taunts us and haunts us and lures us in like a fish going after a beautiful, beautiful lure that's silver and shining, and it wants to gobble it up. Well, Satan acts exactly like this, in just this manner. Who are we if we're that fish versus the clownfish? that takes refuge in its true anemone. I suppose it's all animal instinct either way, but what happened to just heartfelt instinct, godly instinct, spiritual instinct? What has happened to that? Every day we're feeding the beast. We live in the beast system. When you spend your dollars, your money, your hard-earned cash, when you spend that, when you earn that, is that not, in a sense, something that we worship? Something that we look forward to because we know we have to have that to move forward in life, to live in life, to be fed, and to live in comfort. We know this. We have been led like fools into the depths of despair. And I promise you this much, they never, ever, not even once, wanted us to get ahead, nor did they look out for our own best interests. We should know this by now. We're voting red side or blue side, red pill or blue, when we should all know that we have a earth that is blue and Nibiru that is red, also known as wormwood. These are the divided signs and the sides. These are your yin and your yang. These things that we see and we go through are your as above and so below, yet nobody sees it. We'd rather make war with others just because they don't dwell within our own land, and yet we forget that the only way we came about and accomplished our own land was because of war and because of others who came in and they simply took it. Yet we live here and we still pay our dues and our debts to those that are the ones responsible for this. We still are not free. We're enslaved. We're an enslaved race, and nothing will convince me otherwise. Let me ask you this question, and tell the truth. Be true to yourself. Has the thought of war or winning anything truly ever made you feel good or accomplished about anything at all? I mean, has it? I know the true human side, the godly human side, has always secretly held sorrow and pain and regret for their own enemy or their opponent. And I'm telling you, God, my God, your God, the creator of this world, would never have wanted the pain and heart that has sadly overtaken the world. He would never have wanted this, not even once. There would be no elections for this thing or that. There would be no heartache or belittling each side to accomplish the electoral vote for what one is trying to achieve. He would never, ever have wanted this. Not for you, not for me, not for anyone. All he wanted was one world under God, not one nation. Never just one nation. Don't you know that his love for us is unbiased? His love for each and all of us is unwavering. So why can't ours be? Why cannot our own be? Why? And I'm sorry to say this, but it's true. It's true. And I used to be just like you. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time that we found our legs to stand again? I mean, we've done it before. Maybe not in your time, maybe not in mine, maybe not in this generation, but it's happened before. Everything can be made new, and change starts with you. The Lord adorned this planet with every necessity ever needed to survive. Don't you think it's time we go back to the fundamentals? Don't you think it's about darn near time we cut that elitist population, that group of evil beings, out of the equation? I do. I think it's time. No longer will we walk past a fruit tree and say we're hungry when the fruit has fallen to the ground and yet we never stopped to collect it. No longer will we say, I thirst for water, because our sink faucets will not flow. But yet a simple stream of water flows from the mountains freely, and we don't ever look that way. We look for our glass and our faucet. We look for our grocer and the necessities that the grocer supplies and that somebody else supplied unto them. Don't you think we need to know and go back to the fundamentals, back to the equations that God gave us in simplicity because He equipped the world with this? Don't you need to think we go there? I do. It's not that hard. It's quite easy. And the energy that we pay for, the gasoline that makes our cars go vroom vroom, you never needed that, because that also was free in itself. He equipped this entire world with all of our necessities, and yet we don't know how to look past the simple structure that's been presented to us and demanded upon us to get us any further in life other than what they have deemed necessary. I find this so sad, so sad. It's extremely hard. When I look at my children or my grandchildren, I'm filled with grief, full of grief, because I myself have played into this evil. And then I realize I've done this to them, and I've only myself to blame. But when I think about it, and when I stop and I be still long enough, I know in my heart, because I can hear in my heart, that the Lord said, it's okay, my child. I forgive you. I know that you've been misled. I know that things have been presented in a false light to you, my child. And I can't tell you how grateful I am to know that the forgiveness flows so freely from Him. His love is so abundant and never ending, and that our lives are absolutely 100% eternal so long as we turn to Him, so long as we give our lives to Him. We're eternal beings, my friends, my people. I know that some of you are wrapped up in the Galactic Federation or this conspiracy or that. And trust me, I don't even like the word conspiracy anymore, because conspiracy to me means anything opposing the lie, the biggest lie we've ever been told, which is the one that we have been living in this entire time. But please just remember that there will be all sorts of other alternatives and ways of thinking and historical alternatives, and so much will come to pass and be presented to you. But you have to, and listen to me closely, you have to listen to your heart. Your heart does not lie. The Lord places the truth within you. It lives within you. It is, after all, inside of you. It's in your DNA. You were made in His own image, not in Satan's, not in this beast of a world and society that we're living in. We are not made of this. But I'll tell you what, this is a challenge and a trial and a battle all of its own. And no war could be greater than the spiritual warfare that you go through and you encounter right now. It is the biggest of them all. Will you make the right decision? Will we all make the right decisions and choices? Will we? We have a choice. We have been instilled and given free will. Free will, my friends, my brothers, my sisters. Free will. What are we going to do with that? What are we going to do with that? And how are we going to take all of this knowledge, turn it around, and present it to the world in a fashionable light? one that is pleasing to our Lord, how will we do so? After all, the choice is up to us. The vote has been ours from the get-go, and there is no red side or blue in heaven, or with the godly world. There's not. What there is just the light of truth, the vote of truth, and living in truth. That's what we've got. That's what there is. And that is your reality. Everything else is false. Everything, including the demonic skies, including the UFOs that come and taunt us and haunt us, including the shadow beings at the end of your bed, including those that have been taken up unto ships. It's all false. It's false. It's not of God. And the sooner you realize that, and the sooner you cry out Yeshua HaMashiach's name, the sooner we all can stop this. And that includes me. Guilty as charged, my friends. Guilty as charged. But someone was crucified. Crucified for those sins. Please let us not forget that. Jesus Christ lives. He lives, and He's coming. He's coming back. We just have to wait. It won't be long, but He's coming. Hold on tight. So let us all remember, don't tip your hats to Satan. Bow your heads to the Lord God Almighty and high. And then it will be your time, our time, when we all see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with power and great glory, and every eye will see Him. And it is then, my friends, that we're going home. We're going home.